Have you ever wondered what's the best thing to do to pass the time and to have a little fun while you're at it? Well, there's only one answer that I can think about: video games. Well, if you have them anyway, which some of them don't, but there are times you get the chance to. So, yeah, video games, well, the video game community actually is a very special thing around the internet and for us too. So, it is in this video, the first video of this channel actually, that we're going to be looking at some of the top 10 most iconic, most popular video game characters throughout the years. Those are kind of like my choices, but also kind of like the choices from like a whole set of people around the internet, which of course I did some research, as well as looked some info about them to remind myself and to know about a few important things. So, I hope you guys are all ready for me to actually share all these opinions and those details with all of you. So, let's get right to it. Starting off with number 10 of the list, we have Gordon Freeman from Half-Life. He's a man of a few words and a genius specializing in theoretical physics, which led him to work with the Black Mesa Research Institute, whom were experimenting on teleportation technology that caused an interdimensional alien invasion from the other world known as Zen. It's at this point that Gordon has to fight his way out of every known threat for his and other people's lives in a world filled with not just monsters, but also many other dangers from an evil organization as well. In his many adventures, he joined the resistance and met individuals such as Alex to combat any danger, including the cryptic and leader of Black Mesa, the G-Man. Even though he was derived as a silent protagonist type of character, the fact that he was able to fight his way out of anything and everything that got thrown at him, even though he was also just a scientist, or I guess a physician in the case, he still actually had the potential to use almost every kind of weapon, not just his trusty crowbar, to fight off against any kind of enemy that got in his way with ease. And of course, he was very quick to act and very iconic in a way, even to the other characters, like the Resistance for example, as well as a good friend to Alex and a hero to many in his games. And so, that alone makes him one of the most iconic characters as well as protagonists in the industry of games. Number 9. Solid Snake from Metal Gear. The man who makes the impossible possible. Possessing an IQ of 180 and fluent in 6 languages, it was one of the many results of a cloning experiment so that he and his many siblings could become high-ranking soldiers like their so-called father, the Big Boss. Later on, his aging process has been making him seem a lot more older, but still capable, making him the old Snake in a few years. He had been assigned to many missions and squads, as well as working with teammates like Raiden to stop worldly dangers, most notable being the deployment of a mechanized weapon called a Metal Gear. With his character, image, and overall appearances in many games, like Super Smash Bros., he is, without a doubt, the perfect example of a memorable protagonist from a memorable franchise. On to number 8, Ryu from Street Fighter, the wandering martial artist looking to fight the best of the best across the globe, train with focus, and become as strong as he can. Raised and trained by Master Gouken, Ryu has learned to control the aforementioned power of nothingness, which helped him learn his signature ability, the Hadoken, as well as keep him from succumbing to the Satsui no Hado, a negative source of power that would make Ryu no better than the raging demon himself, Akuma. With the trust of many friends and his rival like Ken, he has grown a lot over the years and proved himself capable of fighting any opponents and being the face of fighting games at the same time. Which, yeah, is kind of true. When you look at him, you do think of fighting games. Now, I can't say really much about him though, because I only played one game, Street Fighter, a really old one. Well, needless to say, I think the franchise in itself is pretty cool. For number 7, Kratos from God of War. Once Spartan general, ghost of Sparta, and slayer of the Olympian gods, he now takes shelter in the cold and vast parts of Midgard with his son Atreus. After going through so much and making numerous sins, he met a proud warrior woman named Faye, who, after giving birth to Atreus and teaching him many things, died and entrusted her axe to Kratos, hoping that he and his son will carry her ashes to the highest peak known. They soon found out that the Norse gods of Asgard heard of Kratos' whereabouts and are planning to interfere in their quest by sending in Balder and many other threats along their way. So, about God of War. I actually played one of the games, and honestly, it was great though. I didn't finish it exactly, but to be honest though, I think the game or the franchise itself was actually pretty astonishing nonetheless. And after seeing that, well, checking out the other games, as well as the newest one that came out some time ago, I was actually pretty impressed though. Like seriously though. Not just the fact that God of War and Kratos is like a very special PlayStation kind of game, an exclusive actually. It's great though. And having said that, I'm hoping to see what they have for store for us next, with the next game called, of course, God of War Ragnarok, if I am very right. Yeah, very excited. I hope all of you are too.
Get down here, Merc.
Number 6. Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. Once an elite member of the unit called Soldier, he is now a mercenary working for a group of rebels known as Avalanche in their objective to defeat the Shinra Company while also getting involved with an unusual friend named Aerith and later on the former most powerful soldier, Sephiroth, Cloud's nemesis, who had a goal that decided the fate of the whole world, not just the city of Midgard, of course. Cloud's arsenal mostly involves using melee attacks with a big sword, along with his limit break and final attack, the Omni Slash, as well as a few additional magic attacks and buffs, which, honestly, gameplay-wise, was pretty great, even when the Final Fantasy VII Remake came out, which of course I checked, and while it was only the first part of the actual game of the Final Fantasy VII, honestly, I'm still very excited for the next part, the second part of the Final Fantasy Remake. So, with the next expansion of Final Fantasy VII Remake on the way, actually, it's already been released, and I still haven't checked it, but either way, it looks pretty great. And so, about Final Fantasy VII, I never actually played it, but from what I checked, as well as maybe a few other games, I think the franchise in general was pretty great. and of course the character as well. But of course, Final Fantasy VII has always been a fan favorite among gamers, and kind of a cult classic in a way, actually. I guess a classic in general, because some like old games or like the original versions of them were actually pretty good classics, and I can actually sympathize with that. Going up to number 5, we have Sonic the Hedgehog, from the same title of the game, of course. He is Sega's main mascot and one of the many popular game characters besides Mario and Pac-Man. He is an anthropomorphic hedgehog with a cocky and somewhat happy-go-lucky attitude, who loves adventure and his status as a hero for saving the world countless times from many forces of evil, the most common being his arch nemesis, Dr. Eggman, and his robot army. Over time, he has gained trusting friends like Tails, Amy, and Knuckles, and even challenging rivals like Shadow, the self-proclaimed ultimate life form. So, about the franchise in general, it's actually a pretty popular one and kind of a classic in a way, kind of like Mario in general. Cause yeah, the game started as like an 8-bit platformer kind of game, and later on, it's got so many entries that honestly, it's kind of hard to keep up. I actually played the game no, not Generations actually. It was, yes, Unleashed to be exact. Unleashed was the one where Sonic apparently got to turn into a werewolf with elastic powers, which was kind of weird, might sound weird, but honestly, I loved it. I loved the new mechanics they brought in this game, which overall don't fit Sonic's style. But honestly, you gotta have something more to, put it on the franchise. Something new, actually. And yeah, they actually did that for almost every game, and I like it.
Link, you are the light. Our light. That must shine upon Hyrule once again. Now go.
In fourth place, we have Link from The Legend of Zelda, the silent hero bearing the symbol of courage, destined to stand beside Zelda, whose blood runs the power and heritage of the goddess, in order to stop the Demon King, otherwise known as Ganondorf. Link has undergone many incarnations in each game of the franchise, the most recent being the Breath of the Wild timeline, and one of the few that left a big impression on the audience, me specifically. Therefore, I am very excited for the upcoming sequel of this game, as much as any Zelda fans out there, of course. Oh, and by the way, both Link is my favorite. Just saying though. Well, I know there are other Links there are kinda cool, like of course from the Breath of the Wild one, but come on, you can't deny that the idea of Link turning into like a wolf isn't exactly like too weak or, too douche, I guess. It's cool. Let me tell you.
Oh, please. Let me see what I can find.
Cannons first. When I get back, we can look. Together.
Okay, big guy.
Number 3, we got Master Chief from Halo. The elite soldier designated John 117 was one of the few candidates to pass and survive the trials and biological augmentation procedures of the Spartan 2 program and become the greatest intergalactic super soldier in the UNSC. During many of his missions, John would fight alongside his soldiers, and gain assistance from the sentient AI Cortana against the empire of many aliens and enemies of humanity, the Covenant. And sometimes the factions will have to face the parasitic infestation, the Flood, as a common enemy. So, about Halo and Master Chief in general, he's actually been like the, well, let's say like the biggest symbol of Xbox One. You know, like kind of like how Kratos is like the symbol of PlayStation and all that. Yeah, that kind of icon, you know. That's pretty great to actually have Master Chief represent the Xbox One. Now for number 2, it's Pac-Man from, well, Pac-Man of course. You know, the little yellow ball that eats power pellets, avoids/eats evil ghosts, and has a family of more pack people? Yeah, that fun little guy. Like Sonic, he is Namco's official mascot, and over the years has got so many games that involve the classic maze setting from the first one, and others where he is more adventurous, and even has a storyline to boot. Well, of course, I'm not really sure if those games were popular though, but considering the fact that his, model was like based on his one of his adventurous games and all that, I think they got pretty popular with that. Oh, and not only that though, I do know that they made like an animated series where, well, there's more of them and there's actually ghosts with personality, I guess. Honestly, when I saw that, I was pretty intrigued. Well, some other people might say otherwise, but it was great. And last but certainly not least, for first place, we have the one, the only, Mario. He and his brother Luigi were once plumbers working in New York, but then things started to get more interesting as Mario becomes Princess Peach's #1 rescuer, I guess, as he has to save her from the great, almighty, and dead of the year, by the way, Bowser, the Koopa King. Ever since the first entry, Mario's franchise has gained a plethora of new games and spin-offs with many nice settings for story and gameplay wise. Because his overall appearance and energetic personality really makes him shine like a superstar, if you get what I mean, because stars and all that and many of his games. Yeah, and that song like from Super Mario Odyssey and all that, yeah, it's great. Seriously though, Mario is an icon for games. He's even called Mr. Video Game himself on Super Smash Bros. And that's taking it mildly though. Like seriously, if there's anyone that screams video games, it's Mario. And that does it for our top 10 most iconic video game characters of all time. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this one soon enough. And of course, this is a channel about top 10 things involving video games in general, not just characters though. It can also involve more than that, like let's say weapons for instance. And yeah, so stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys on the next top 10 video. Bye!